Where are you? You're going to work again?
Testing. Testing. Good evening. I'm calling the Hawai'i Neighborhood Board meeting to order for Tuesday, March 25. Thank you all for coming and joining us. My name is Roberta Mayer. I am the chair of the board and I represent Subdistrict 10. And I'm going to be asking our board members to introduce themselves, starting on my far right with Herb.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Herb Schreiner. I'm Subdistrict 6, which is from the skate park to the valley.
Hi, and thank you for coming, everybody. I'm Joel Brilliant at large, although I live in the Mariners Cove area.
Good evening, everybody. Great to see everyone here. My name is Charles Che. I'm a board member at large.
Good evening. I'm Elijah Lee, District 5.
I'm Greg Knutson at large.
This gentleman is Jeffrey Jones. He's our assistant from the Neighborhood Commission office. I'd also like to recognize Jordan, our videographer, who I was reminded has been with us since before COVID. So thanks, Jordan. Go ahead, Ilse.
Ilse Silvercrot, Subdistrict 1.
Gene Tierney, Subdistrict 8.
Hello, everyone. Samuel Wolf, Subdistrict 4.
Hello, everybody. Paige Alton, Subdistrict 11, Portlock Road and Maunalua Triangle, Kokokai.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Bishop at large.
All right, thank you, board members. We have good attendance tonight. We are a 15-member board. We have 2 people absent and 2 people who may be late tonight. We are going to be going on with our status reports, but before that begins, I just wanted to remind the community that the election for board members for the new term will begin in April, I think, and will continue through May. So I urge all of you to vote when you get your little notice in the mail. Only the seats that are being contested will actually get a notice to go online to vote. Those people who were the only applicant for a vacant seat, happily, we are going to be welcoming them as new members for the new term. So don't forget to vote. We're going to begin with our status reports starting with Honolulu Fire Department. Welcome.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. Honolulu Fire Department March statistics provided below represent confirmed number of incidents in the NHB's geographical area for the previous month. Incident statistics for February 2025, there's 1 structure fire, 1 nuisance fire, and 3 activated alarms. HFD also responded to 67 medicals, 3 motor vehicle crashes, 1 motor vehicle collision with pedestrian, 4 mountain rescues, 1 ocean rescue. That's it. The fire safety tip for March 2025 is smoke alarms. Smoke alarms are crucial for saving lives and play a key role in a home fire escape plan. When installed properly and maintained correctly, they provide early alerts, giving occupants a chance to evacuate quickly. Install smoke alarms in every bedroom, outside each separate sleeping area like a hallway, and on each level of the home. Test smoke alarms at least once a month by pushing the test button, and replace smoke alarms when they are 10 years old or stop responding when tested. That's all.
Could I have your rank and name, please,
Yeah,
for the
Captain
minutes?
Waipa Parker from the Hawai'i Fire Station.
Yes, thank you very much. You haven't been here for a while. I forgot your name. So
Yeah.
thank you. Any questions for the Honolulu Fire Department? Yes, Paige.
Hi, Captain. Thank you for your report. Very appreciated about the smoke alarms. The motor vehicle collision with the pedestrian, I know you can't elaborate too much, but was this on Cal Highway or was this on Lunalila Home Road?
Don't know exactly where it's at. They don't provide us. They just give us
okay.
the, but there's also, for more details on incidents and related mapping incidents, the fire department has a fire response map on its website at fire.honolulu.gov. And it's under the news and info tab. And so you can look at pretty much all the incidents for February there too. Yeah. It's like on a map. Yeah.
Any other questions for the Honolulu Fire Department? Anybody from the audience? All right. Thank you very much, Captain.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right. I would like to acknowledge two additional board members. Elizabeth Riley is online. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi.
And Holly Lyons. Thank you for joining us. All right. Honolulu Police Department. Lieutenant Nakamura, are you providing the report tonight?
Hi, yes, I am. Well, I'm online. Taro Nakamura from District 7. Okay, these are stats for February as compared to the previous month. Can't speak. Motor vehicle thefts. That was 5 as compared to 2. Burglaries were 7 as compared to 4. Thefts in general were 9 as compared to 5. And UEVs, which is theft from auto, was 14 as compared to 16. This is out of total calls of service of 5,746. And further statistical information can be found at honolulupd.org. And our safety tip for the month is just a friendly reminder. I sent it out to you folks at the beginning of the month, but it's just to remind people that Hawaii has a move over law. So if you see any emergency vehicle like a fire truck or a police car, ambulance, especially on the side of the road with their lights and activated, please move over. If you can, move over a full lane. If you cannot, just slow down, make sure you see what's going on and maneuver safely around them, because we need to create a safe as we can, a good, safe work environment for the folks to take care of whatever that emergency situation is. Yeah. So if you can, just move over. If you cannot, then at least slow down and just watch what's going on. Okay. And that's our safety tip for the month.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Questions for the Honolulu Police Department? Sam?
Hello, Lieutenant. Thank you for the report. At the prior meeting, Chair Mayor had mentioned that the manager of Hawai'i Town Center had brought up that there had been increased criminal activity from the homeless that are over at Joe Lukela Park. And I was at the shopping center last night, and HPD was responding to a break-in. So I'm curious, what is District 7 doing to further beef up the patrols of that shopping center, or how are they responding to the complaints brought by the manager and other tenants?
Yes, well, when a complaint is made, we will respond to it, and we have to deal with each new situation as a single incident. Now, I'm very well aware of certain individuals who are causing problems, maybe at the shopping center, maybe by some restaurants. We are aware of that person, but we have to deal with each situation for what it is. If it's a burglary, it's a burglary. If it's trespassing, it's trespassing. If it's crossing the road, pedestrian on the roadway, that's another thing. If it's park rules, it's another thing. We will address it for what it is, but that's what we do as the police. I don't make any blanket statements saying that the homeless are responsible for all crime, or we can't do that. We have to address each situation as they come for the incident that's may or may not be occurring at that time. So that's how we respond to it.
Lieutenant, a follow-up on that issue. The manager of Town Center has brought this to the police attention several times. And we do now have park closure at that beach starting from 10 p.m. So no one should be should be camping at that park. And
Yes.
so we hope that HPD will naturally follow up on in the evenings if there are people that are at the park when they should not be.
Yes, we've been making citations and arrests. Now, you have to realize that park rules I believe is a petty misdemeanor. So we can cite, we can arrest. Trespassing is a misdemeanor. But and that person, that certain individual that we were talking about, we've arrested that person numerous times. They can come back the next day, and it just remains prudent on everybody's part to just be vigilant. If you see that person again, call us again. We'll do what we can within the confines of the law. If we have to cite him or cite that person committing an offense, we will. If we have to arrest them, we will. We just can't. I mean, yeah, that's the best explanation I can give, man.
All right. Thank you for all you do. Appreciate it. Yes, Paige, and then Sam.
Hi, Lieutenant. Thank you so much for your report. Can you agree that the homeless situation has gotten exponentially worse since they cleaned out Waimanalo? And they become as visible in Hawaii Kai. The homeless have become as visible and as blatant in Hawaii Kai that I'm seeing as they were in Waimanalo. And I think the concern is that it's going to get as bad as Waimanalo got. I think that's what I'm hearing from my constituents. I left my house at 6:15 this morning to go to work, and there was a guy sleeping on the grass at Cocoa Head Elementary School on the corner of Koipu and Lunalila Home Road, sleeping there. Like, he owned the place. And I know that your hands are tied in a lot of ways, but as residents, you have to understand how frustrating it is to know that your hands are tied in a lot of ways, and yet there's nothing we can do about it either. We can call and you guys can cite and then take them in and they'll come back. And, I'm not exactly sure what the answer is for all of this. It's just a frustration that I'm getting from my constituents in my neighborhood, that it's the audacity, almost, I think is the word, that they feel that it's their right to sleep wherever they want and do whatever they want and talk to people however they want. And the police can only do so much, and it's frustrating. So just, maybe it's just an FYI that I'm saying, but.
Sam? Sam, go ahead.
There was an 88-year-old woman that died from her injuries after being struck by a vehicle on Lunalilo Home Road. From what was reported in the media, the woman was in a marked crosswalk, and the 18-year-old driver stayed at the scene afterwards. Are you able to, and drugs and speeding and alcohol at the time were reported not to be a factor. Are you able to provide any insight into that incident, into what we can do to increase safety at that particular crosswalk, or in general to prevent these types of situations from happening again in our neighborhood?
For that particular case, the best information, or the only place that if it involves a felony, that question is better asked to the the vehicular homicide section within traffic. If you're talking about what can we do as a society, yeah, we can go and look and be on the lookout for people in crosswalks before we actually go through them. It takes all of us to prevent accidents. from occurring. And if that person did pass away, that's an extremely tragic situation. We can increase enforcement in that area, but ultimately what it boils down to is just having people care for each other, at the end of the day, and be on the lookout for pedestrians that are on the street, and also pedestrians before you cross the sidewalk. Be on the lookout for cars, because there's some, I'll say it. We don't live in a paradigm. There's some rude drivers also. So we, as a pedestrian, look out for those people too,
We have a
Yeah.
hand up online. Elizabeth, go ahead.
I wanted to share that unfortunate situation with the woman who passed. It's really sad because she was doing what she always does. She was getting off the bus, going home. She lived at the Esplanade, and she's right there across the place from where she lives, and she's going across the crosswalk. So it's really, really quite sad. One of the things that I think are important for us to look at would be calming measures, going back to that conversation. Speed bumps, I know that they like to keep traffic going, but speed bumps are important. The other thing I should mention is that at that crosswalk, they have those flags. And my understanding is that it was being used. You take an orange flag and you walk across. So it's really quite unfortunate, but I think a conversation of calming, what do we do, and go back to that discussion again. At
Yeah,
the county and at
absolutely.
the state level.
Absolutely. And also there's a certain amount of personal responsibility on that driver.
Yeah.
Right. Look at yourself. What did you do? But, I wasn't there. I'm not the investigator, so I can't answer as to the specifics.
All right, we have a question or comment from Herb.
Thank you, Lieutenant. In regards to Joe Lucilla, I do want to commend the officers because I'm a night guy, so I drive by there and it is apparently clear. The officers tell me they're clearing it when they can. So I see a definite improvement. The guy that was, or the people that were living next to the guardrail are gone. So I just want to commend you guys for that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Lieutenant, for coming tonight and joining us and for your report. Oh,
Okay.
Excuse me, we have one more question coming from someone from our audience. Judy, come on up.
Yeah, I just wanted to reinforce what Captain said. He's your captain, right? And sorry. But the other day I was going across the little home road on Hawai'i Drive, and the light turned green on my side. The light was red on the other side, and the driver just went through the red. But luckily, I've had close calls before, so I always, inch out. And all he did to me was, "Thank you." So, a lot of it is personal responsibility and caring about your neighbors. I think, we're so much in a hurry, we don't think about the other people, because I could have been killed.
Yeah.
But because, like I said, I've had experiences with calls, and accident was.
The bus literally drive.
Huh?
That was somebody else. Thank you very much, Judy, for sharing that. All right, I guess the message to everybody is to drive with more aloha. Okay? Thank you very much, Lieutenant. Appreciate your being here.
Take care.
Okay, we're going to be moving on to the Board of Water Supply. Iris, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Glad I could make it tonight. I report on the main breaks, and unfortunately in February, there was 8. On the 3rd, it was near 1222 Pihana Street. On the February 5th, it was near 1010 Kalahu Street, Kalahu Place. On the 7th of February, it was near 7878 Hawai'i Drive. On the 11th, it was near 1236 Pihana Street. Pihana Street. On the 12th, it was near 7536 La'e Dua. sorry, I'm not reading this well, place. The 14th, there was one near 1230 Pihana Street. And on the 18th, near the same address, 1230 Pihana Street. And on the 25th of February, near 944 Kaluanui Road. So sorry if you're inconvenienced by those main breaks. And my one general water announcement, I'm going to just read it straight off like the other one. So are you thirsty for a stable career? So the Board of Water Supply is hiring. So we have positions open for engineering, information technology, customer care, and administrative roles. So enjoy great benefits, job security, and the opportunity to grow and make a difference. So it's time to turn the valve on a new career that matters. So apply today at boardofwatersupply.com/jobs, or you can call 808-748-5160. So that's my general announcement. I have a follow-up from last month from a question, if you want me to see it. No. So last month, Member Page had some questions about water. So I announced about water waste. You can call the number and go online to report any water waste. So she had mentioned the one near the elementary school, near the Poipu and Luna Lilo Home Road. And then there was one near the overpass, Malama Market. So the communications office, they did notify the Department of Education, the facilities and operations, and we requested that they adjust their school's watering schedule to the morning hours so that we can conserve water. And they also called the neighborhood park, since it's a neighborhood park, they called we reminded the Department of Parks and Rec to irrigate in the morning, early mornings or later in the day. So we did contact them with your question. Thank you. So if there's not questions.
Okay, Iris, on the 8 water main breaks in the last month, 7 of them had pipes that were installed in 1974 or 1979. Are those, and 4 of the 8 are on Pihana Street. So let me ask you, I know that there is going to be a lot of work being done on the water infrastructure in Kalama Valley. Are these some of the streets that are going to be improved?
Yes, actually, I was going to report that one. So the update there is at boardofwatersupply.com, and you go to the construction area. They have the Kalama Valley Water System Improvement Project, and they're actually working on Pihana Street. So I can't say whether it's from the construction or from just natural pressures and main breaks, but that is the street they actually are working on in that area. So we are
Okay.
looking to replace these
So
areas.
I'm hoping that there'll be a lot of improvement
Yes.
then in that area.
Yeah.
Questions for Board of Water Supply? Holly?
Hi, thanks so much for your report tonight. My question may actually be in line with yours, Chair. And I'm wondering, 8 breaks in February seems much higher than typical. So was there unusual conditions? Was there construction in the area? Was there outages? What did you determine to be the cause of the 8 breaks during the month of February? And how can we prevent it?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I'm not given that detail of what causes a main break, but they are doing construction in the area. And there is high pressures actually in the Kalama Valley area. So there's those things. But I can still bring that question back and ask, but there is construction in the area. So it'd be a factor.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much, Iris, for joining us tonight, providing that report. The next on our agenda is the Kaiser Complex Schools. Is Mr. Gu present? Not this evening, I guess. All right. Then we're going to be moving on to community announcements. Are there people on the board or in the audience who have announcements that they would like to make? Please come on up.
Aloha, good evening. Good evening, Neighborhood Board. My name is Johanna Ward. As some of you know, my father, Gene Ward, is resigning at the end of this month. So I am here helping my mother take care of my father. And I just wanted to say on behalf of my father, thank you so much for your service to this community. He thought extremely highly of the people that sit on this board for the many years that he's served. And I just wanted to say one story, which is that my father gained inspiration from all kinds of people to help this community, including something as simple as my alma mater, as well as Paige's. At La Pietra, we have a lawn called the Great Lawn, which is why he coined across from Mauna Lua Bay, the Great Lawn. And so with that, it's a good reminder that you can gain inspiration from any place, anywhere, to do good in the community. And I think of that when I think of my father and the good work he has done. So thank you so much. And Jillian, my father's office manager, can address in terms of what is going on with his office going forward.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, I just want to provide some clarity as after the initial announcement, we got a lot of inquiries regarding what comes next with his seat in the state legislature. So where we stand now, his official date of resignation will be next Monday, March 31st. At that point, the Hawaii Republican Party will have 30 days to provide 3 names to the governor for his successor. And then following that, Governor Green will have another 30 days to select who will fill the seat for House District 18. In the interim, we will be keeping our office open. So I have 2 session staffers that will be in until May 2nd when the legislature adjourns. And I'll be staying on through the transition until that next successor is named and put into the office. So his email will remain the same. You can still contact us with any district related concerns, any legislative questions at our repward@capital.hawaii.gov email address. We'll have our same office phone number. Our office will remain open. And I also did just want to provide the same, echo what Johanna had said, that Rep Ward really did love coming to these board meetings. When I started working for him, I just assumed, like everyone else, he would come when it was convenient to him or during campaign season. But no, like he said, he wanted to come eyeball to eyeball and see all of you on a monthly basis. So that was really an admirable thing of him. So if there are any more questions, you can always contact our office. But in the meantime, we will remain working for the people of Hawaii Kai.
Jillian and Johanna, we certainly want you to convey to Representative Ward how much we have appreciated his involvement in this community and certainly involvement with this board, because he has been a very strong supporter of the board and a lot of the efforts that we've made for the neighborhood and the community. He is going to be sorely missed. We wanted to do a resolution, but we're told that he does not want to accept any kind of accolades. So we have not pursued that, but we are certainly going to miss him. Does anybody else want to say anything? Elizabeth, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, 2 things. I just want everybody to know that Representative Ward has continuously worked with us as it relates to the Kaiwi channel. And we'll have more to share in time to come. And I also wanted to comment, and I'm hoping that with this new person that comes in, that Jillian might have the opportunity of staying for the consistency. I don't know, Jillian, what your plans may be, but you are exceptional. And I think anybody that takes that office would be quite fortunate to have you, and especially our district to have that consistency of how you serve us. So I had to say that. And is that a possibility that you might stay, if depending upon who it is? And
yeah, that'll be dependent upon the next
Okay.
individual. But regardless, I'm definitely going to be offering all the resources and knowledge that I have about the district to help them moving forward.
well, thank you also for your service.
Okay, Lisa?
Well, one of my hats that I wear is as president of Friends of Hanauma Bay. And Representative Ward has been a staunch supporter of all of the work that we have done for the last 27 years that he's been in this position. But one of the great stories that I have was back in 2017 when he and Senator Willis Sparrow, who happened to be a Democrat, they came and joined our nonprofit when we were out collecting water in Hanauma Bay for the first ever sampling to determine the level of sunscreen pollution in the water. And he and Senator Sparrow went out and collected together the first sample that went into that study. And I have photographs of the two of them out there in the water, bringing back the first sample that went into that study. And what I'm trying to say is that that Representative Ward was happy to work across the board with senators and representatives of both parties in order to do what was the right thing for the right natural resource, in this case, Hanauma Bay, which happened to be in his district. And it's always been a pleasure working with him because when we brought our concerns to him, he was there to listen. And what he always said was, Lisa, what do we need to do? And tell me what you need me to do to help you get done what you need to get done. And so that is always something that someone like me who is leading a small, all-volunteer nonprofit, those are the words that I really need to hear from someone who is my representative or my senator. And so that has been a blessing to always know that I can come to him and hear those words. So Johanna, it's been a pleasure working with your dad and with your mom, of course, but we're going to miss him.
Greg?
Yeah, I've known Representative Ward for a long time. Lived in Aina before moving to Hawaii Kai and been out here for more than 30 years. So he was our representative then. There's been some redistricting and also, anyway, known him a long time. Probably some of the main influences in my life include this neighborhood board, the East-West Center, and Peace Corps. And it seems like every single time I would see Gene, he would make some reference to one of those entities in which, we had shared interests. He was Peace Corps in Indonesia. He was Peace Corps director in East Timor. Share a lot of common experiences through the East-West Center. And of course, all of us know he was the most consistent to be here in person, responding to community constituent needs. So when I got the notice that he was stepping down, that did surprise me. I'd been trying to reach him and wondered, hey, it's not like him to not respond. And now, of course, I know why. But it's been great seeing his daughter growing up over the years, the whole works. So yeah, he'll be missed, but I hope he recovers and stays involved in many different ways. So we're hoping for his full recovery.
Anybody else from the audience?
I just want to give my prayers and blessings to Gene and his family and to Jillian and the staff. Gene has been a workhorse. He's been our rock for all the farmers in Camilo Nui Valley. We don't know where we would have been if it wasn't for his galvanizing support. And we had Farm Day and we had all the legislators and councilmen there and people in the community. And it's just that he was a synergistic person. I mean, he brought so much camaraderie and fellowship. And even though, we were sometimes in disagreement, he would bring us all together. And I just want to express my appreciation for him and that we all love him in the Valley and in Hawaii Kai. And he will leave a big hole in our hearts, but we know the man above is going to take care of him. Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Judy. Anyone else? Come on up. Did you want to say something?
Good evening. Thank you, Chair Mayor and Board of Directors for our neighborhood board and all our neighbors. My name is Joy Schoenecker, and I'm here this evening to share a message about we represent the Hawai'i Advocates for Respectful Development, and that's called the acronym for HARD. We are a grassroots organization formed to help prevent a high-rise or unnecessary development on Hawaii Kai Drive, where the current James building and the 7-Eleven, the Boston Pizza, and the Pet Clinic building are located. So HARD is working to protect and preserve the Ha'ioni Valley and its environment and the view plane that we enjoy, Mauka, of Hawaii Kai Drive. We have attended this neighborhood board on several occasions, so you're probably very familiar with us and our message, but we're here and we're going to continue to come if you allow us to, please do so. We want our neighbors to know about the James property the lease being expired. And we want to make sure that that the Kamehameha schools and the Bishop Estates know that we are strongly not in favor of tearing down these properties and building a high rise. That adjacent to the Ha'ioni Street, you know that we had the huge flood coming down in 1988 on New Year's Eve. And it was quite a spectacular event if you were able to have viewed that. It was horrendous, needless to say. And to get emergency equipment up that street and to help people was absolutely just horrible experience for everyone at that time. So tonight, I would like to say to you that we have some people here in person to sign the petition. We have over 500 people who are signing to try to save our area and try to help us to prevent a high rise from being developed here or any unworthy property that we like in our neighborhood. So we have developed a website, finally, that we have a website. So it's hawaiioniadvocates.com, www.hawaiiadvocates.com. We'll have some papers here for you. So if you could please come and sign the petition back in the back with our people. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Neighborhood Board, for all your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Question, Paige? For Joy. Joy, you have a question from Paige. Go ahead, Paige.
So last month, when I believe it was Tom was here.
He's here.
Oh, yeah. The question that I had at the time was about the zoning and what the zoning was for that property and what is it and what the parameters are of that zoning. Have you guys found that out yet?
Zoning. We could do some research on that.
We've been told by many people. We've been told by many people C3. Literally. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We've been told by many people it's C3, I mean 65-foot limit, and we do have a lawyer on our team who has been investigating the more technical side of that. We also have found out that variances have been created by many developers throughout North America. And so there's variances have been created by many developers throughout North America. And so the zoning may or may not apply depending on who has friends where. I can't go into all that, but you know the property.
I'm sorry, you're talking about North America. I thought you were talking about the James property.
Yes, I'm saying as a general trend, we know that developers have ways of not necessarily conforming to the zoning, that exceptions have been made.
Well, but the owner's KSBE.
Yes.
Okay, so we're dealing with KSBE and we're dealing with the James property.
And we're dealing now with 3 leases instead of 1. In other words, 3 leases we've been told expire at the same time. One has 7-Eleven, Hawai'i, and Boston Pizza. The next one is a building with several offices and a vet clinic. That's been confirmed by the manager there. That expires at the same time.
Okay, and the
James building is also at the same time.
And the zoning is all C3.
We do not know for sure what the zoning is for the others. We do know the James because research has been done.
And C3 is what's the height limit on C3?
65 is what we're told. We need to confirm all of this.
Okay.
65 is all we know right now.
You have to speak into the mic.
65 feet is all we know right now. But as we know, variances can happen and they do occur. So we're trying to get the word out to.
The reason that I'm asking you about the
Yes.
zoning is because that is your fight.
Yes.
Going to KSB and telling them that you want to park is not going to get you anywhere. They don't care that you want to park.
We understand
They
that.
don't care that you don't want the
We
property
understand
torn down.
all that, but
They
thank you
want
for
money.
bringing that up.
They want, well, because you guys are not, you're not fighting the right thing. You say you've got petitions saying you want to park or something, but they're not going to listen to that.
No, we-
Your fight has to be on the zoning.
We
So
don't
have
have
you
a
talked
petition.
to the city council and talked to the zoning people and?
Right.
Okay, thank you, Paige.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joy.
Yes, thank you.
Herb,
Yes.
you have a comment?
Excuse me, I wasn't done.
Hold on, hold on.
I
think
wasn't done.
but I'm cutting you off, Paige. That's enough.
Why?
Because I think you've made your point. They do need to do some research and follow through. Okay? Herb, you have a comment.
I want to thank you for your fight. Those 500 plus signatures that you got, we're going to have to wait. We got a letter after the last meeting. They probably know what they want to do, but they're going to do a presentation to us. Keep an eye on the agendas, and all 500 plus people should be packed in this room to let them know. But to me, it's great. You're trying to jump ahead, but you need to do your homework, but you can't really fight something that hasn't been brought to us yet. And there's not just those properties. There's a lot of properties here in Hawaii Kai that we're going to have a problem with.
Yeah.
But all 500 plus people, everybody on the neighborhood app, everybody should be here to show for us that we don't want any further development out here. Our infrastructure is horrible. We can't even keep our water lines open.
No.
Okay, our electricity on, our traffic, everything. To me, that's the big fight. And then the zoning. And we have an expert on our board.
Thank you for that, because we feel exactly the same way. We really appreciate you. Not to cut you off, Paige, at all, but we'll try to answer everything we possibly can for you. But we appreciate you.
All right, we have a comment from Elizabeth online. Go ahead,
Oh.
Elizabeth.
No, actually, I don't. I just had an announcement,
Oh,
a
okay.
separate announcement.
A different announcement. All right, thank you very much, Joy.
You guys, we appreciate you. We'll
Thanks.
see you next time.
Okay, take your seat. All right, go ahead, Elizabeth.
Yes, at the last neighborhood board meeting, I had announced that the Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee was meeting specifically, supposed to be this Thursday on the 27th, and it has to do with the renaming of a section of Hawai'i Kai Drive going from Kalama Valley to Lunalilo Home Road, and that's a follow-up from the Sustainable Plan review and adoption. Unfortunately, the meeting is not on Thursday. I did not send an agenda. It's my fault. But I did speak with the commission office, and the new date is April 30th at 6 p.m. at the Hawai'i Kai Library. This evening, I'll be sending the agenda over, but for everybody to understand, it's going to be a very short meeting. It's basically coming together to talk about the why, the process, look at the application. And I'll be liaisoning with Councilman Waters' office, because what the board decides will be eventually going to the city council. That's going to be part of the process. So we're going to be meeting and talking about the process, the application, and how we arrived at this moment in time and why the needs to be renamed. And so again, it's the 30th of April, Hawai'i Kai Library, 6 o'clock the meeting starts, but I'm opening up the room at 5:30 for any chit chat. And I'm going to have the sustainable plan there and any other relevant stuff that I think would be helpful for anybody who may choose to come.
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Elizabeth. Okay.
Okay.
Tom, you have a announcement?
I didn't intend to speak, but since certain questions have come up, I'd like to try to answer them. Can you hear me okay? Thank you very much. So just so you know, zoning is important to us. We have a multi-pronged approach. Jean Ward, and I do want to acknowledge Jillian and Jean while I'm here, because although I'm much younger in service than most of you, 6 months ago when I spoke to Jean, he said, "How can I help you?" Same thing. Nobody knew about his health at the time. Jillian has helped us in every possible way since then. What you need to know is that on our website, there is an online petition now. So the 550 signatures are just a drop in the bucket. They're what I and others have personally gotten by going around these neighborhoods, and we do have supporters in every part of these neighborhoods. But when the petition went online and Gene put out his newsletter, when it supportively talked about what we're doing, and Gene gave his endorsement, and we give big aloha to Gene and to Jillian and their whole staff. When that happened, this is no longer your mom and dad's petition. This is a huge techno petition that will go throughout. It's been on Nextdoor, it's on other onlines. We've given it to the Lions, who are sending out to their members. Any list that you have electronically, we'll give it to you. It is non-stoppable. So our concern is not with one problem, zoning, which is very important, or petitioning, which is very important. We're talking to people in the city government, which is very important, for building alliances, which is very important, but letting you know you can help too, and that we need more problems. And it's working out very well. And again, thank you to Gene, to Jillian for their support. Thank you to those of you on the board for your support. Sam always represents us well in our area. Roberta's been very kind to us. Paige is keeping us on our toes. Ms. Bishop has signed our petition. Others of you have done that. Thank you very much.
All right, other community announcements. Senator Lee, you've been waiting patiently. Come on up.
Oh, no, thank you. First of all, appreciate the opportunity to get back to the Capitol and then actually go up on a plane later for a quick overnight trip, work trip, and then back the next day. But I did want to take this time to talk about three things, not the least of which is a fellow colleague we've been talking about here this whole time. But I'm going to start with the boring stuff. So we're toward the end of the legislative session. We've got another month or so to go. I just wanted to give a quick update, real fast update on 6 bills that I had put in with the help of some of our neighbors in the community on various topics that are still alive and moving. Moving along, one fixes and addresses e-bikes and some of the wheelies and questionable stuff that's out there. Another one bans foreign contributions into our electoral process in another way. The third one puts into law, codifies restrictions on junk fees and other stuff so that when you're buying something or checking out, there's not like 18 fees added at the last minute. And the original $1.50 you thought you were going to pay suddenly turns into like $18. Fixing the DUI process to make it clear that if you are going to endanger people's lives, they're going to lose your license. We're providing mental health support for, in particular, veterans and others with PTSD and things like that through another bill. And then finally, well, I'll stop there. There's a whole bunch more. But there are 2 other things. One was a conversation which I think happened here at the last neighborhood board meeting, which folks have reached out about EV Coast and the bill that was passed, I think 2 or 3 years ago now, renaming that state park. And the question posed was, what impact does that have on the actual protections that the law now provides for this stretch of land and coastline? And the short answer was, we actually had our attorneys and others look at it actually some time ago, because the law as we passed it, which was based on about 5 years of effort over that time to get something through, which is based on a lot of the community input and all the folks here, as well as plans going back to the 90s, which called for designating the area the Hawai'i Coast State Park, and which flew through with not a peep of concern raised about that particular name issue. Ended up passing into law, as we know, and along with that, it basically protects that end of the island and all the land in its wild and natural state. Was the language, thanks to Elizabeth Riley and others, for making very clear what the intent was, so we don't end up with a whole bunch of cabins or Walmart, who knows, whatever else. But the way the law was crafted, the protections for the land and the restrictions on various things that could otherwise happen are tied to the designation. So the renaming of the area, the Hawai'i Coast State Park, or I should say, the protections on the land and everything else that comes with it, as well as some of the positions of funding, other things that are tangentially, associated, are all tied to the designation. So we would have to go back and change the law in order to change that. So in other words, it's all or nothing. So that is what's before us now. Now, that said, we did have conversations, I think after the last, I don't know when it was, a year ago or so, that this came up at the board a few times with DLNR. One of the options that had been talked about was not replacing all the signs, but for wayfinding and people who are looking on Google Maps and for liability and other purposes, the designation goes and the name itself has to formally change. But you can keep other signs with the scenic shoreline existing name, or potentially doing like a mishmash somewhere along the way. So there's options. We just have to talk with DLNR about what that looks like. But legally, the intent of protecting all that stuff is tied to the law, which is the terminology unique to a state. So we can dive into that more later, because I realize I don't want to take all night. But I did want to mention something else, which was obviously Gene, and I still feel like I'm relatively new, because my district only encompassed Hawai'i Kai for the last 4 or 5 years now. I've only been fortunate in that time to really work collaboratively, like in the same space. But I've known Gene for 20 years, and I came to the Capitol in 2005 staff, and I can't believe it's been that long. And while we disagree greatly on various issues and things, we agree on a lot too. And I've actually learned quite a bit. And I've never actually got to know Jillian and the family, his family, although we've heard a lot of stories, all good. But mostly I've got to know someone, and before representing this area, when I was in a district in the House just on the windward side, had a lot of colleagues who come and gone, and over the years, once here realized, I don't think there's anybody that put more time and effort and attention into listening to, or trying to listen to, the community in every way, shape, and form possible, and really trying to make that the primary focus of communication, and being able to turn that into something, whether it's elevating issues, or talking about things, or introducing bills, or whatever it might be. And I've never, I think in all these years, seen that level of not only dedication, but just energy, which makes me tired just thinking about it. But it is so something, I think, for most of our colleagues, that we ought to aspire to, because it's easy to get trapped up in the daily mishmash of politics, just the endless fire hose of issues that come up from the community all around. But I really got to say, Gene, I think, set the bar for everyone. And it's been the greatest honor to have been able to even serve alongside in any capacity. But most of all, I want to say this, because for all the complaints about everything that we get on a regular basis, and talk about being a part-time job, I can say from experience, this is absolutely not only a full-time job, but then some. When you're getting calls at like 11 p.m. at night from people who have like some brilliant idea or other issue that pops up, and you're just there constantly. And I raise that because we think about the service and commitment and dedication of folks like Gene and others, but it really is, and hearing, I think, from his daughter today, it really is the family that moves you, and friends and people around you. And that sacrifice goes almost unnoticed and invisible to everybody. Because for all the nights that we are here, or at some other community meeting, or dealing with issues or anything else, that is time that we will never get back, found by friends. And that dedication and sacrifice that Gene has made, and his family has made, is something that can never be given back. And so we ought to all be thankful, and all aspire to do one better than that. I don't know that that's actually possible, but we ought to try. And so I want to thank Gene for all that, and staff, and family, and all of us for all the time that we've been given from him, and all the benefit we've had in the community and down in the county.
All right. Thank you, Senator. There's a hand up. Elizabeth, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Senator. I want to connect with you as it relates to Kaiwi. I'm monitoring the land board for when it goes before them. And on behalf of the neighborhood board, I'm going to be going to let them know that the board took a position not to change the name. We were informed that Kaiwi State Scenic Shoreline is a type of state park. But what I'm thinking is I'd love to get together with you and we can talk so that we're on the same page and we can move forward with keeping it as Kaiwi State Scenic Shoreline, which is a type of state park. And it's very unique. There's only two different types of categories that the state of Hawaii has, and one is Kaiwi State Scenic Shoreline. And then the other one, I don't remember what it is. Very, very unique. And we want to maintain that. But loved working with you with the work that we did get to do. But let's circle back together so we're on the same page, because when I go to the land board, I'll be representing the neighborhood board and our position. So I'll wait for the session to be over, or you let me know what works for you. Okay?
Yeah, happy to chat and happy to
Thank you.
follow up.
All right. Herb,
Thank you.
go ahead.
I really love our state capitol, the meanings of the building, the pillars, everything about it, where I'm glad that they're going to be working on the pond. At least that's what I heard. But I don't like that wall around it. It's really an eyesore. So I would like to see, or someone to pursue removing that wall and giving that state capitol its beauty again. That's my comment.
Oh, thanks. You're referring to the wood construction walls that.
Yeah, they put up to save the representatives and the senators from the public. But, that's not going to happen. It annoys me. I go by that Capitol quite a lot, and I just keep looking at it. My wife comments on it. So I just think that might be a good project, is to bring it back to how it's supposed to be. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't give you the latest update on that, but I know for sure, because I'm looking down from my office, you can see into what was the pond, and it's all torn up right now. So I know that's there for at least until whenever that's done. But we can get some schematics or something from DAGs on what the end goal is supposed to be and what the timeline looks like and all that sort of thing.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Senator. I understand you're not going to be able to stay at our meeting. And so this essentially has been your report as well as your announcements. Okay.
Appreciate your indulgence. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Judy, did you have something else? You have a question for the senator?
Yes, I attended, I forget, I think it was last year, you talked about the Koki frog coming over from Waimanalo, and then I had someone come to my nursery, works for the governor's office, and he says they're spraying citrus acid on the Koki frog to kill them and repel them from coming over. But I just want to give an added warning, because the Big Island was warned about Koki frog. The Department of Ag didn't do due diligence, and now Hilo is infested with Koki frog. And I don't want that to happen to, I know Waimanalo, they could have stopped it earlier, but they let it fester, and now it's coming over to Hawaii Kai, and it's a travesty. We gotta put the government's feet to the fire, because we don't want the Koki frog in Hawaii Kai. It's horrendous. Thank you.
Do you have any update on that, Senator?
Just in a nutshell, there actually are, so I think that's an accurate assessment, and I think that's part of the concern that's been driving a lot of the conversation lately. There are a couple bills moving right now that would reorganize sort of the whole biosecurity invasive species effort to try and address some of this. There's some murky kind of gray areas that need to be ironed out still, but the intent for our part, for a number of us from communities like this, where you have clear infestations of various things. Over the hill here, you've got also LFA and people's stuff and looking at rhinoceros beetle and all of that. We cannot delay, and there cannot be gaps in coverage between one department or the next or what have you, because every passing day, the problem just gets worse and worse. So ensuring that continuity and that access to resources is sort of paramount right now, and that's where the conversation's at. So I'm hoping by the time we have the next board meeting next month, once the legislature's done, there will be clarity on final bill and funding and all of that. So absolutely here, I think the concerns being raised, I think it's now or never stuff.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to be closing community announcements and moving on. But before we do also, Jillian and Johanna, I want to say again, we are going to miss Representative Ward's presence at this meeting. And we need to let the governor know that whoever replaces him has gigantic shoes to fill. In terms of his interaction with the community, they have a lot of work to do to come close to replacing him. Thank you. Yes, did you have a comment?
Alexander.
This is still community announcements. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm a Cocoa Terrace resident, and KSB or Bishop Estate has been doing some moving of land. And I'm not sure if they ever came to the board and gave what they're planning to do in Hawai'i Kai. So if they haven't, I'm wondering if the neighborhood board can call them to come in and give us an update of what they're doing in District 18, because a lot of what they're doing is now starting to affect some of our neighbors. And, I've approached some of the guys and they're pretty hot-headed. So they're not being nice neighbors, and I don't appreciate that. And my family's 7 generations in Hawai'i Kai, or Cocoa Head anyway. And what we've seen now within the past year and a half, they haven't, this is the first time we've seen it in, for some family members, 50 years. And what they've done now behind our houses, for some that were affected during the rains, and now we've got rodents and insects coming down more than before. And, like my house gets treated, and the Terminex representative says that it's everything that they're doing on top of the mountain that's causing the infestation of rats and mice down into the neighborhood now. When I approached Kamehameha School's representative, they said that that's not their control because they don't own the mice. But it's affected because they're moving rocks and dirt. When the big rain came, the mud affected what I've counted 10 houses or 10 residents along that back. The mud came down. I just redid my yard, paid a couple of $1,000s, and the cedar ran away 3 houses down, and I had to go sweep it up. And I know the neighbors down from me, mud actually slid into their property. And their answer to it was they gave us 2 letters saying, move your things or we're gonna penalize you. And this is people actually, it's understandable that they've encroached onto their property, but mind you, they haven't been there for several decades to manage this. And so, and that was the only thing that they communicated to us, unless you've gone up to them and speak with them. My rumors now that I'm hearing is that they're looking to develop some of the areas, and I haven't heard anything from them. I know they had a couple of informational meetings, and I didn't attend them. But I'm calling the board now to see what is their update and what are they doing in District 18.
Could I have your name, please?
Alex Malaby.
Alex?
Malaby.
Malaby.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Just to let you know that we have been in touch with Kamehameha Schools. They are working on a plan for all of their leasehold lands in Mauna Lua area. We are not privy yet to what those plans entail. They have promised to return to the neighborhood board to report on that plan to the board and the community.
Well, until then, I think they should stop doing what they're doing because they're making a mess
Um,
and it's causing havoc.
They did indicate that they are working on fire mitigation efforts,
Well,
several
this is-
places
My
in
understanding, my understanding is there's a bunch of rocks behind our homes. My uncle them actually worked on Hawaii Kai with Henry Kaiser. And when they put those rocks there, that was actually a fire barrier. Well, this fire barrier, unfortunately, Halekoa got through it, California grass. And basically what they're doing is they're just churning up more weeds up there and it's just growing more. It's gotten worse than what it was before. I mean, they've moved dirt and rocks around and now the weeds are 10 times worse and starting to come into the property.
Alex, if you could give me your address, I will
Well, I'm
send.
not
an-
going to announce it here, but
Okay, yes. And I will send an email to contact at KS and let them know that some of the work that they're doing in that area is causing problems for your neighborhood and have him look into that and maybe get back to you. And then Jean, you have a comment? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just wanted to add to what Alex is saying. He's my neighbor up the street. I've had mud pour into my backyard, onto my lanai. And the problem is that they're doing the fire mitigation badly. It's been dragging on for what, about 2 years now? And they've exposed vast areas of land by moving rocks around, scraping off the plant life and leaving exposed ground. And so you've got dust blowing into your yard, you've got mud from the rains, and critters are being displaced. And so I think the neighbors are frustrated not by the fact that they're doing fire mitigation, that's fine, but they're doing a bad job. The contractor shows up for a day, maybe two, and then disappears for 2 weeks, and things get left. They park their bulldozers right
behind
in
our
the backyard
and the thing
and
is,
leave them there.
right.
And they stink. They're dripping oil on the ground. So the neighbors have a lot of complaints about how Kamehameha Schools is doing this work because they're doing it badly. So with that, I encourage you to send that email to them.
Yes, Paige.
Could you just explain, I'm sorry, where is Coco Terrace? What area you're talking about?
So it's between Kamiluiki and Kaiser High School.
Between Kamiluiki and Kaiser.
Is that
It's like
subdivision?
after Job Corps?
Coco Head Park and Kamiluiki. So our backyard is Coco Crater, excuse me.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Can I just say something real quickly too, just off the
Go ahead,
subject of this? Jillian, your father, I worked at the legislature in 2004 as well.
No, Johanna is the daughter. Jillian is the.
Jillian, I thought you was there earlier, Johanna too. He was a great representative. I'm praying that he has full recovery. I became very good friends with him while I was working at the legislature, and he's done very well for it. At the time, District 17, now 18. And I'm hoping full and speedy recovery. So thank you.
Board members and Alex, just letting you know, this is more a public generated issue rather than an announcement. And I'll put it in the minutes under public generated issue. And I will send a email as a follow-up. And if I get a response, I'll let you know, Alex. Okay? Are there any other public generated issues? These are issues that are not on tonight's agenda, but the public would like to bring to our attention for maybe further action. Nothing else? All right. Thank you very much. We are going to be moving on to our presentations. We have 2 presentations tonight. I am pleased to call up as our first presentation, students from McKinley High School from the Center for Tomorrow's Leaders. Their topic is Care to Prepare. And our presenters are Tuan Tran and Ariana Ash. Welcome, students.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tuan, and this is Ariana Ash, and we are from McKinley High School's CTL Year 3 project team, Care to Prepare. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here and sharing with you guys. Center for Tomorrow's Leaders are, we're a part of the Center for Tomorrow's Leader, or CTL, a local nonprofit where students not just only learn about leadership, but we also put into actions by doing projects that address real community issue. One problem is that we found that many people in Hawaii aren't prepared for emergency or natural disaster, leaving our community at risk.
According to our research, only 11.5% of households in the city and county of Honolulu have enough resources, such as food, water, and medicine, to last 14 days. This means 88.5% of households are still unprepared and therefore left vulnerable when disaster strikes. There are plenty of resources out there. However, simply having information is never enough. It takes people who care to prepare. Back in the day, every household had a copy of the yellow and white pages. This contained things like emergency contacts and important phone numbers. But today, those resources are long gone. And many families don't know where to find this vital information when it matters most.
What if we lose Wi-Fi or internet access? Many people use internet access to search up emergency contact, but during a disaster, that might not be an option. That's why we created a handy flyers with a quick and reliable reference with all our essential emergency preparedness information.
Do you want us to change the slides for you on?
Yes, please. Sorry.
Okay, please tell us when you want us to do that.
We're on slide 3. 4, actually. All right. This included 14-day survival kit checklist and also like key emergency contacts information such as HIEMA, HECO, and the Disability and Communication Access Board. May you go to the next slide? Our plan is, what is our plan? From March to April, we'll be presenting our project ideas to neighborhood boards and other social networks, and will be distributing our flyers across home across Oahu. To get this information distributed to household, we'll be going from doors to doors and handing out flyers to families for them to be able to gain access immediately to this critical information.
So how can you help? If you would please assist in the distribution of our flyer, which we have provided for you here tonight, or we can email you a PDF file for you to print and share later. In addition, please inform your neighborhoods about our cause, letting them know how severe this problem truly is, so that we can get our message out to as many people as possible. Next slide.
Our mission is to help people get prepared and get ready for emergency by sharing them simple steps, useful resources, and the importance of being prepared. Our goal is to help people take action now and stay safe later.
Our vision is to get Oahu to care, prepare, and ensure that they stay safe and ready for any disaster. I'm actually not from Hawaii. I'm originally from Texas, where my family has lived for generations, mostly occupying the coast near the Gulf of Mexico. So in 2005, when Hurricane Katrina hit, they suffered immense damage and loss. I mean, hearing their traumatic experiences was truly just devastating. They were facing things like injury, illness, even starvation at one point, and they didn't know where to go or who to turn to. They are blessed to have survived this tragic event, and today they are all alive and well. However, they constantly remind me that they wish they would have prepared before so they would have known what to do during. We pray for clear skies. However, it's, sorry about that. However, disaster happens. And when you think of events such as Hurricane Katrina, or even the tragedy that was Lahaina, you begin to wonder how different things could have been if they had prepared before. Next slide. If you have any questions or want to learn more, feel free to reach out to our CTL facilitator, Ms. Joy Yoshida, at jyoshida@ctlhawaii.org. Thank you.
Hold on. There may be questions. So questions from the board and from the audience. Yes, Chelsea?
I don't have a question. That was a great presentation. I happen to be a senior instructor for the National Disaster Training Center. And that training center offers a lot of resources in terms of training and awareness. And if you get with me after, I would love to connect with y'all to the course director over there and for that, both in person and virtual. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Paige?
Thanks, guys. That was a great presentation and information was overwhelming. So I just wanted to say that, you know, you're spot on. I think that your statistics are really spot on. And I think it's such an important topic because I think for a long time, everybody was like, oh, I have 3 days of water and I have 3 days. Everybody was on the 3 days thing. And then as natural disasters have become more frequent, you know, around the world and in Hawaii too, then we went to 2 weeks. And now people are thinking, oh, 2 weeks, you know, and that's where I think people got hung up. That's where I think all of the percentages went down because people have 3 days, but 2 weeks was just a little too hard for people. So thank you so much. This is great information. And I think you guys are spot on with this topic. So thank you again.
Hey, Elijah?
I just wanted to say I went through the fellows program at the Center for Tomorrow's Leaders, so it's great to see you guys here and really cool to see other people who are going through the similar program.
We have a hand up online, Elizabeth, and then Lisa.
Thank you. Great presentation. And I'm going to be in touch to get the PDF file because in May, we're going to be doing a Firewise community event and we work with Hawai'i Kai Strong. And I think this is going to be a great piece for us to add to the tools that we share on that day. So thank you so much.
I would like to certainly ask you to send me in email form the flyer so that it can be reproduced. I will send it out to all of the board members. Lisa, go ahead.
Thank you very much for including pet supplies in there. One of the biggest lessons that was learned about Katrina was that people include pets as part of their families. And during Katrina, pets were not evacuated. And I'm so glad that that was included in this because pets are very much a part of our family. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you so
Other
much.
comments or questions? Thank you very much, students, for joining us tonight. And I think it's laudable what you are trying to do. So thank you very much. Our second presentation is about the increase in city sewer fees and the possible impact on Hawaii Kai residents. And here to share is our presenter, Natalie Iwasa, who is a Hawaii Kai resident. Thank you, Natalie, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Chair Mayor. Natalie Wassa for the record. I always say that when I go to City Council. Thank you, board members, for serving our community in this volunteer capacity. So the reason I'm here today is, you know, back in October, you had a presentation from the city about the increased sewer fees at the city level. And you were told at that time that it doesn't impact Hawaii Kai. But recently at several council meetings, it was brought up by Chair Waters that perhaps the general fund could be used to subsidize the sewer infrastructure and sewer maintenance. Now, all of you know, since you're residents here, that we have our own private sewer company. It serves about 11,000 customers or 35,000 residents. And back in, I think it was 2022 or so, we had a 15% increase. We're, I think, still looking at a potentially 11% increase. And with respect to the city fees, they are also looking at huge increases. I empathize with them. 9% a year for several years. This is mainly to cover the 2010 consent decree. They had to upgrade the Honolulu waste treatment plant. And the next one in line is the Sand Island wastewater treatment plant. It's about $2.5 billion. And in my opinion, the city dropped the ball when they didn't increase the fees at the city level for a bunch of years, knowing that this was coming down the line. So in my opinion, it was poor planning. But at the city level, at the council level, Chair Waters is suggesting that each department look at their vacant funded positions, which are funded by real property taxes mainly, and potentially take that money and use it for the sewer. We all pay into that general fund. So by requesting that the city use general funds, residents in Hawaii Kai would basically be paying twice for sewer fees. Now, some people may say, well, we already have stuff like that. But the difference here is that, I don't know, I'm so nervous. Back in 1959, when Kaiser was developing this area, I found this very interesting, by the way, 6,000 acres in this area. The city said, sorry, you can go ahead and do your development, but we are not going to put your city sewer in there. So at his own, with his own resources, he built the American Water plant out here for $9.6 million. And I'm still trying to find out if there's a formal policy in place with respect to using only sewer fees for city sewer and not using the general fund. I haven't gotten an answer on that. It seems to be more of an informal thing that's been happening for at least the last couple decades. So as part of the communications I sent to you, I don't know if you had a chance, they're really long documents, but Chair Waters had asked the city formally to state, can we use the general funds? And the Department of ENV, Environmental Services, responded with a 110-page report saying basically that it was a futile exercise and that the credit agencies would view any such action as council's and the sewer funds as the sewer fund's inability to responsibly increase sewer fees to cover increasing costs. That would potentially lead to a decrease in the bond rating for us, which means potentially then increased interest, because as the risk for the underlying bonds goes up, so do the interest costs. So what I'm here to ask you today is to write a letter to Chair Waters and to also submit testimony. There are two bills that could potentially apply to this. One is the Bill 60, which is actually the bill that would increase the fees over a number of years. And the operating budget is the other one. The operating budget is where they put the vacant funded positions. So on March 31st is the budget bills, and then the next day they're doing Bill 60. So that's my request. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or try anyway.
Thank you very much, Natalie, for bringing this to our attention and for monitoring what's happening at the city council level. We appreciate that. Comments and questions? Yes, Holly?
Hi,
And then Paige.
thank you so much. And you did a great job. I can appreciate how you feel standing up there. My question is just for clarification because I couldn't quite hear what you said. Did you say you're looking at shifting funds for positions that are vacant and moving those funds to cover this? Is that what you said?
Okay, so you have to understand a little bit about the budgeting process.
Yeah.
They have this line item called vacant funded positions. It is positions that have been authorized, but been vacant. And some of them have been vacant for a long time, 5-7 years. And so they get funded. They put funds in the budget for that line item, but in some cases, it's quite likely that not all of that funding will be used. And so what the chair is asking the various departments to do is take a look at that line item and say, well, realistically, we think maybe half of those positions could be filled in the next year. So then take that funding that's in that line item and move it to sewer. That's what's being proposed.
Great. Good idea.
I don't know why you're nervous. I just always appreciate when you start talking about something to do with numbers. I always am just so appreciative of you and your ability to see it all. So thank you. If the money doesn't come out of the general fund, where does it come from?
It comes from the city sewer fee assessments, which is pretty much everybody else on Oahu.
Separate from us?
Yes.
Yeah, because we have our own American.
Yes.
Okay, so Tommy Waters is looking to use the general fund, which includes everybody, including us, for these line items with no exception of Hawaii Kai.
Well, that's correct. The general fund is just as it sounds.
It is what it is. It's everybody.
Yes.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Thank you, Natalie.
Jean and Ilse?
Roberta, I think we should go ahead and put this on the agenda for the next meeting and discuss whether a letter should be sent to the.
I think that the timing is such that with the March 31st decision on the budget, waiting till the next meeting will not work.
We can't
Chair,
take action?
If I
Oh,
may.
then
So,
we should
Yes,
take action
Natalie,
now.
so just to clarify the process, Bill 60, which is the sewer fee bill, is only passed first reading, and there has been some, the budget committee actually held it back because there has been a lot of pushback from ratepayers, the sewer fee people. With respect to the operating budget, it's got our first committee meeting coming up next week. So the budget actually doesn't pass until June. There are, in addition to this budget committee meeting coming up, there's one in, they'll probably have another one well, I don't know when he's going to do it, but there'll be another one. There will be two more full council meetings on that bill, as well as Bill 60. There'll be two more full council meetings.
All right, so we have more time than the March 31st deadline.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you for clarifying that. Yes, Jean?
I thought we had to wait, but since we don't have to wait, I would like to make a motion that we send a letter to Chairman Waters and the council opposing using the general fund to pay for sewer fees.
Greg?
Well, I'm just thinking that, yeah, we need a full discussion on this because there might be some other options as well, because we are the exception, but we aren't being treated as an exception. And perhaps, I mean, they know which residents here are served by American Water, and they could maybe even have a special offset of the property tax somewhat to, just account for that. But otherwise, the rest of the island is facing a doubling of their sewer fees. And so I can sympathize with them too. I also suspect that our folks are probably going to look at that and think that the increases that we face have been pretty modest and that they'll still say, well, it's only half of what everyone else is. But anyway, I think just to simply say don't use general funds might be overkill and not, it kind of makes it look like Hawaii Kai is only looking after itself instead of considering how the rest of the island is going to treat.
I was going to say the same thing, Jean. I don't think that we should be in a position to tell the city council how to balance their budget and pay for debt. But we can certainly raise the problem that we don't want to be charged twice, for the sewer infrastructure. So we might have to, well, first of all, you made a motion. There's no second yet, but we might want to modify that motion so it just doesn't state, don't use the general fund, but, maybe to develop a letter, you know,
That's your
that,
idea. I would like to modify my motion to say that the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board does not want its community to be charged twice for sewer fees. If funds are to come from the general fund, then an alternative has to be developed so that Hawaii Kai isn't paying twice.
all right. We have a motion. Is there a second? Before we continue our discussion.
I
Chelsea?
second the motion, but
Okay,
May I-
seconded by Chelsea.
yeah, just provide input. This is almost like all of us getting really happy about getting a tax return refunds, right? Because it's our money that they held. It's like those 7 or whatever positions that they have in the city that have been vacant for 7 years that we're paying taxes to cover them. So this issue is probably not one of using the general funds to do this, but rather doing it right by, we already paid those taxes. So it should be properly and procedurally realigned for the sewer fees would be what I'm thinking.
All right. Ilse, you had your hand up? No? All right, then Sam and Paige.
As it relates to the bond rating of the city, or what ENV mentioned that not increasing the sewer fee rates would cause a decrease in the bond rating. Is that is something that they've been told by the credit rating agencies, or is that just a hunch, assumption?
So yeah, it actually, I was kind of surprised when I found it because that came out before the budget briefings. And in there, it's very clear from, it came from Bank of America, which in the report they call the experts. And let's see. So what, I did send you the link, but basically it said beyond the sewer fund's credit rating downgrade, if council allocates general fund resources to the sewer fund to reduce sewer fee increases, the credit worthiness of the general fund could be impaired. So, you know, this is not something that the council should be playing with, and then it would impact everybody, regardless of where we lived or what kind of sewer services we had. But with respect to the general fund, just to comment about the vacant funded positions, that's not the only place where they said that they might take it. So every year you might recall that the mayor comes out with his budget and he says, well, we have $100 million excess rolled over from last year. Well, basically what that means, to the gentleman's point over there, is that they budgeted more than what they really needed. And so they collected that money ahead of time. But there is that money as well that could potentially be tapped for this. And in my position, in my opinion, we just shouldn't be doing this because, you know, it's like, well, the city's going to say, you know, you have to have your own service over there, but oh, by the way, you're going to have to pay again for it. You pay for your own and then pay again. And that to me is just plain wrong.
I'm glad you brought that up because I guess my question is, okay, we say, no, we don't want you using the general fund. Could you do fill in the blank? You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, I'm trusting your expertise on this because I'm not as schooled as you are. So if using the general fund is one option and not using the general fund and using the sewer fund is the other option, is there another option? I mean, if we're going to say we would really rather not pay twice, Hawaii Kai is an exception to this, we would rather see you use blah, blah, blah.
I'm not aware of any other options.
So as far as us writing a letter and saying, you know, we feel that we'd be billed twice and it would be in the best interest of everybody to not use the general funds for this and to rather use the sewer funds.
The sewer.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's what
Jean, before I call on you again, I'm going to ask Elizabeth, who has her hand up. Elizabeth and then Jean.
Thank you. Paige actually asked the question that I was wondering, and I understand Natalie's response. So thank you. Thank you again, Natalie.
All right, Jean?
Two comments. One is that the Environmental Services Department spent a year and a half or something working on this problem and coming up with the funding solution that went to City Council, right? It's an increase in the fees. They did all of the community work. You might recall, Roberta, that you asked me to participate in the meetings, except they were all done by the time we got that information. So we didn't really have a meaningful participation. But there is one way you could fund this without using the general fund or double penalizing Hawaii Kai residents. And that is to put a special assessment on all properties outside of the Hawaii Kai district that is served by the local sewage plant. That's the only alternative that I could possibly think of.
All right, other comments or questions? Yes, Holly?
I'm just trying to clarify. You're saying add more, and you're saying add more money to it instead of looking for savings and reallocating the savings? Am I misunderstanding you?
Yeah, there is no opportunity for savings.
Said reallocating it.
Yeah,
for budget.
that's just taking money out of the budget that's in one budget line and moving it into this.
That's, what's wrong with that?
Because
It's
we're
not
paying, that's our money. Why
But
should we pay for the
The
sewer
reason I'm
twice?
asking is that because did I misunderstand you that the positions have been vacant for 7 years and the money's just sitting there?
Some of them have been vacant for that long, and yeah, well, that's why the chair asked each department to come up with a plan on what positions they no longer need.
Yeah, again, you have to understand, the money is not just sitting there. It's not like a pot of money that never gets touched. That money is in the general fund. Each year, money gets spent out of the general fund. The council goes about doing a new budget for the following year. Monies that weren't spent go back in the pot and will get reallocated. So it's not like that money is really new, or rather old, sitting around moldering. It's the taxes that we spent or paid this year that go into the general fund. So
I do understand that. Thank you.
so it's
We can move on. Thank you.
All right, Ilse?
So if we have a letter, it would basically explain that Hawaii Kai residents are not part of the sewer system, and so our tax money should not be used for the sewer system. Correct?
Well, I would suggest that since we have time and no decision by the city council is imminent, that I do a draft letter. I'll bring it back to the board for you to look at and consider, and then we can take action at the next meeting. Yes, Paige?
If Natalie is amiable to this, could you maybe work with Roberta on the verbiage for this letter to make sure that we're getting our verbiage correct and we're
I'd be happy to.
Thank you, Natalie. If you can just email me a few pointers that we want to make sure we include in the letter. Yes, Sam?
And would we also be able to invite somebody from ENV to give us a little bit more clarity from their end of how they would feel about this position that the board would be taking?
I
And
can
Chair Waters'
certainly,
office, too.
yes, I can certainly, by the way, do we have anybody from the council chair's office online? Oh, Adam, I see that you are online. Can you alert the council chair that this is an issue for us and that we may be following up with a letter? And if someone maybe from the city can come to our next meeting or be online at our next meeting to explain what they're looking at in order to fund the increase in sewer fees.
Yeah, certainly, Chair. I can do that. I can
also speak really briefly on this. Natalie does make some interesting points. Chair and the city council have heard her. But the alternative of this, someone asked what the alternative is for the rest of Oahu to have a 100% increase on their sewer fees. So families that have $150 water bill will now have over a $300 water bill. I'm sure we all have, my family resides in Hawaii Kai, but I certainly have family who lives outside of Hawaii Kai. Residents who live in Hawaii Kai may one day move to Kahala or Kamaki, and now they will be facing this sewer fee hike. Bottom line, this directly impacts local families on fixed incomes. So Chair Water is trying to find the money so they don't have these outrageous sewer fee increases. We also think this is an environmental issue. Kauai Ola, the water is life. Protecting drinking water and the ocean is very important to Chair Waters and the City Council. But certainly, I will get I'll do my best to get someone who can speak more on the specifics on this at your next board meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Adam. And also, maybe if somebody from your office could consider, I don't think that we in Hawaii Kai want to be miserly about the use of the general fund to help the rest of the island. But Greg mentioned the possibility of some kind of mitigation, in terms of maybe a property tax decrease for a year or two or whatever, to offset. I mean, or something else that more creative brains in your office or down at the city council might be able to come up with. So, I mean, we want to help address the problem. Well, we just don't want to be unduly burdened by the problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
we hear you, Chair. But just like the general funds pays for things that cover the whole island. For example, the bridge repairs in Hawaii Kai. People in Eva Beach are paying for those repairs. We look at these problems as a whole. But I certainly understand Natalie's points. We just see it a little differently. But thank you. I will follow up with Chair Waters.
All right. Thank you, Adam. Yes, Paige.
Is it Adam? Alan? Adam. So Adam, I have a question for you. So you just said that if the general fund is not used for this sewer situation, that residents outside of Hawaii Kai will be paying 3 times the amount of sewer fees, maybe, that they're paying now. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay,
maybe
so
not-
you're
not
so
quite-
according to
not quite
what you,
not
excuse me,
quite
according to what you
100%.
just said, there's no alternative but using the general fund. When Natalie just pointed out that there is an alternative to that. Is that not true?
No, that's incorrect.
So there is no alternative. If we don't use, if the general fund is not used for this, then the whole island gets screwed, including Hawaii Kai.
Paige,
No, he
if
just
there
said
is
that there'd
no
be an increase.
if there's no assistance from the city council, then the burden for the infrastructure costs are going to have to be covered by the people who are using the service.
Oh, Natalie said that there's a sewer fund.
Well, that's also going to be used, but they're
that's-
still going to have to be charging the sewer users for the cost of the infrastructure.
Right,
So-
but it's not the general fund.
Chair.
And he just said there's
Yes,
no
Adam.
alternative but using the general fund.
Go ahead, Adam.
So, Chair Mayor and Member Alton, first thing, it wouldn't be a 3x. It'd be about roughly a little more than 100% increase over the next year's building up to 9%, 10%, 8%, on and on. But the general fund as it is now cannot pay, or not the general fund, the sewer fee fund cannot pay for these improvements. So these increases are gonna have to happen. And these increases are what is that 100% increase. So again, you know, a family that might have $150 sewer fee right now will end up paying over $300 in the future. We don't have the money right now in the sewer fee fund to pay for these improvements. Thank you.
Chair, if I may.
All right, thank you, Adam.
So the
Yes.
reason the sewer fund was depleted is because the fees were not increased. Well, at the time, they were doing the Honouliuli wastewater treatment plant, and there was one other item that they completed in the last year or so. I think, if I recall correctly, the 2010 consent decree was a $10.2 billion commitment. It's basically a court order. And as I said, the city fell down. They dropped the ball when they didn't increase the fees over time. I also want to point out that my understanding is that there is a program for low income residents. It's called CARES. I don't know much about it, but I'm pretty sure it's still in place and would continue to be there for those who are having trouble meeting the increases. And with respect to the bridges being done all over the island, that's true. However, as I pointed out, you know, it's not like people are paying separately for this bridge and then other people are not using it and then being double charged for all the other bridges on the island. So it's a different type of issue in that respect.
Herb?
Yeah, my comment to you, Adam, is you got to understand we already are paying our sewage fees to American Water. So why should we be charged the high percentage you're saying to join in with everybody for their sewer? That's all we're talking about.
Yeah, thank you so much, member. Again, if your American Water bill will not increase with Clearwater's plan. Your sewer fees will not increase because you don't have sewer fees from the city, from the city E&Bs. You will not see any direct taxes or anything being taken out. This is money that's being taken from vacant positions. These positions have been vacant for more than 3, 5, 7 years.
All right. I'm going to take 2 comments and then we're going to close this issue. I will try to draft something. Natalie will give me some bullet points and then we'll revisit this next month. But Elizabeth and then Greg, last comments.
Thank you. Adam, earlier, board member Jean mentioned an idea that would be fair for residents in Hawaii Kai, and it would be maybe a special something or another through the tax of our property. I was curious what you thought about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting suggestion. Ultimately, it would mean that people outside of Hawaii Kai would have to pay an even higher sewer fee because now Hawaii Kai is not we're not collecting as much property tax now.
All right, Greg.
It occurred to me that much of the rest of the island is facing these horrendous costs and needing to figure out a way to cover it. One of the main projects seems to be the rebuilding, elevation, raising of the entire sewer treatment plant on Sand Island. And we're kind of fooling ourselves if we think that American Water has not really faced the same thing just across from Sandy Beach. So eventually, we're probably going to have an outrageous capital cost of having to either relocate or rebuild. So the way this could work out is the commitment that maybe the city would also try to bail us out through use of general funds to lower the impact on us Hawaii Kai residents. But I doubt if we could really hold anyone to that. But anyway, this occurs to me.
All right, board members, we're going to be moving on. This has been an interesting discussion. I'm not sure that we have any kind of consensus, but I'll draft something. Natalie, email me some bullet points, and then we'll revisit this next month. It'll be under board business.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natalie. Jeffrey reminds me that we did have a vote about sending a letter, but because we're not going to be sending a letter, I'm going to be taking executive privilege here. I will draft the letter and then we can discuss it next month. All right? All right, we're going to be moving on to officials' reports. Thank you very much, officials, for waiting until this time in the evening. Mayor Rick Blanchiardi's representative, Amy Asselby. Thank you for waiting, Amy. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Chair Mayor. I have a number of updates, but I'll try to move through them really quick. I did drop in the chat for those who are online, the mayor's newsletter for the month. So please take a look at that. One of the areas of interest might be the FEMA new flood maps that could impact your household. So take a look at that because the challenge process is time limited. And then on to some of the questions that were raised. Number one, with regard to Cocoa Head District Park, there was a question about some trash bags that were left on the property. And the response from DPR is that they have located and removed the trash bags. Thank you for pointing that out. With regard to the boundaries of Joe Lucella Beach Park, to understand where enforcement with regard to recent homeless encampments can take place, DPR said they really don't have maps to show the boundaries of the beach park, but that the park jurisdiction is from the inside of the guardrail to the high water mark along the shoreline. This also includes the Eva side of the parking lot. So that's all I got on that one. There was a lot of discussion last month about the Sandy Beach Park parking improvements, and the reply from DPR is that at this time, many of you may have already heard this, but there are no plans to pave or improve the parking lot. Okay, Cocoa Head District Park concerns about, there was a concern about, getting a hold of people there and being able to use the park for fundraising for some of the sports leagues. So this is a multi-part response, but applicants can contact the park directly or via email to submit a use request. Applications for fundraisers or selling of food and other projects requires a temporary concessionaire permit. These permits are available on a first come, first served basis, and they must abide by all Department of Parks and Recreation rules. If you don't have this type of permit, you're not allowed to sell anything on site. So you can get more information on the Parks and Rec website, which is www.honoluluparks.com. There are certain types of permits that must be affiliated with a nonprofit organization that has a current 501c3 certification. Additionally, with the permits, you have to have liability insurance of $1 million in the amounts listed with the city as a named additional insured, $300,000 for bodily injury per occurrence, property damage, $10,000 per occurrence, and a Parks and Recreation permit request. And then you must also have a food permit from the Department of Health Sanitation Division, and a certificate is required if you are selling food. So a lot of information on that one, but so it sounds like you have to do a lot of pre-planning if you want to host fundraisers at the park. I did not get responses yet on clarifying ambulance services or fireworks concerns. The next one also on the drainage canal buildup that was discussed earlier by a few residents was not responded to from DFM as to the bottom part of the drainage canal and if there's anything that they can help with that. And then with regard to the recent traffic study results that came out of a study that was around 6770 Hawai'i Kai Drive. This is a little bit longer response too. The Department of Transportation Services has completed their investigation into board member Wolf's speeding concerns near this area. It included a field inspection, a traffic survey, and review of the area's traffic collision history. They apologize for a belated response. DTS presently controls speeding through the use of proper signage and enforcement by HPD. DTS's field inspections confirm that the signs on Hawai'i Kai Drive at this location are visible, appropriately placed, and are in good operational condition. A speed study confirmed that motorists are exceeding the posted 25 miles per hour speed limit in both directions. So DTS has requested the assistance of HPD to monitor for speeding at this location, and a review of the area's traffic collision history within the past 3 years also occurred, but did not indicate any conditions, trends, or unusual circumstances. However, DTS would really like to work with the community to determine if other traffic controls are appropriate for Hawai'i Kai Drive. And please be advised that DTS, as I had mentioned earlier, is in the process of hiring a consultant to help study this corridor further. That's the end of that one. With regard to the New Valley school and safety concern about getting on and off the buses, HPD is reaching out to the school to determine if they want a sworn officer present at the school. They can help with traffic safety monitoring, but the school needs to request one through HPD's special duty section. Additionally, they said with regard to bus service, once upon a time there was dedicated bus service to New Valley Middle School, but it was terminated in 2006 due to unruly student behavior. And additionally, since 2008, federal regulations prohibit recipients of federal grant funds from operating dedicated school bus services. So that means DTS, because they receive federal funds, cannot operate school bus services. That funding instead comes through the DOE. So again, DTS just notes, where there are denoted crosswalks that people, the students, I guess, should be using those to get to the bus stops. And that is it. Sorry. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Amy. Questions for the mayor's representative? Paige and then Sam.
Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for your report. I have two things, actually. The siren for the Portlock, Maunalua, Kokokai Triangle area was not heard. I know you said that last month, you said that on the 10th of March that it would be repaired, but it has not been heard. So I don't know what kind of testing they need to do or should do or do, or I don't know. That's one thing. And then the other thing is a question that I had. My understanding is that one of the issues with hiring more police officers for Honolulu was a financial issue. And I just heard, and I want to understand that these new speed cams that they've just put up all over downtown and on the island and stuff, that they're looking to probably pick up about 300 citations a day, and that they are hiring special HPD officers to review all of those citations. So to make sure that they're legitimate and that the system is working properly. So if there isn't enough money to hire HPD officers to go out there and actually pull speeders over, how is the city authorizing and having the money to hire the HPD officers to sit in a room and look over a bunch of citations? That's my question.
I will ask the HPD about that. And then on the emergency sirens, I don't know if someone is here from the state today, but that is a state Hawai'i question, I believe.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I never know.
No worries.
I just want to chime in a little bit. I think that there is money to hire additional HPD officers. The problem is that we don't have as many recruits as we need to fill the positions. So just that clarification. Somebody had a hand up on this side of the table. Herb, go ahead.
Is there a location I can go to see what the citations are going to be for the speed cameras at those intersections? Because I personally feel 5 miles per hour is too low. That's a little tap on your toe when you see the yellow light or whatever, and that's going to be. So I'd like to see the stats on that. You know, throughout. I agree with the red light cameras. There's nothing you can do. You run a red light, you run a red light. That's pretty simple. But the speed one, I don't see how that's going to work. I can understand these cars is like jamming through and stuff, but 5 miles per hour, it's just a little. You're just touching your gas pedal. That's my comment.
Elizabeth, comment? Elizabeth, you're muted.
Related to the Hawaii Drive study that was done, I think it was quoted that within the past 3 years, they looked at trends and incidences. I think it was 5-6 years ago, an elderly gentleman died walking in a crosswalk. And I just don't want us to forget that, because it's really quite sad to know that. What had actually happened was the city removed a crosswalk and he got hit, and then they put back the crosswalk. And I'm mentioning it because Hawaii Drive, we should always remember when someone passes away and look beyond just 3 years. You know, it was what, 5 years ago, maybe. I think that it's very important to remember that in the studies that we look at when we look at traffic. So that was right there in the area that they studied, and they looked at trends for 3 years. But if you go a little farther back, unfortunately, you'll see a resident died there. Thank you.
Sam?
Thank you, Amy, for providing the update on the traffic study as long as it has taken. I don't know if this is the most efficient way to do this kind of back and forth with DTS, but originally what caused me to bring this up was the building manager at Plaza Hawaii Kai had been getting a lot of feedback from the residents there about the dangers of exiting the property to turn on the Hawaii Kai Drive, and how people were regularly, as noted in the DTS study, are regularly speeding on that street. It sounded like DTS had studied the signage and said that it's visible, but the concerns is the distance in which people are parking from the driveway there, and if that space could be increased, that red mark where you can't park close to the driveway, could it be increased to allow greater visibility for people exiting the Plaza Hawaii Kai? So I don't know if you can bring that back to DTS, or if there's a better way that we can do this. And so also in regards to another thing that I brought up in the past with a particular homeless individual that likes to hang out at the bus stop on Kalanianaole opposite of Pico Drive. You'd mentioned that DFM had come and cleared a lot of the rubbish that is in the bushes there. I had also requested if a trash can could be placed at that particular bus stop to, I guess, accommodate his needs of littering. Other bus stops have a trash can. Can you follow up and see if ENV, or I'm not sure if it's DFM or ENV who manages these trash cans at bus stops, but if one could be placed to alleviate the amount of litter that is accumulating again and again at this particular bus stop.
Got it.
Herb?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you. I finally got my my visual map of the guardrail in is the park. So thank you so much for getting that info.
Amy, I do have one question. DTS reported that the bus service to Nea Valley Middle School was there in the past, but it was terminated in 2006 due to extremely unruly student behavior. I'm wondering if DTS would be willing to consider reestablishing a route with assistance from the schools, to monitor student behavior on the bus, or if they'd be willing to try it one more time, because students are behaving differently today than they were 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting part of that reply also. But I think what might preclude them is the federal regulation that prohibits them from using their federal transit funds, to provide dedicated service to a school. However, it's not like it's solely a school bus. Obviously, other people would just be riding by the school. So I was a little confused by that response too, and we'll see if there's any updated information. As you
Okay, and
suggest.
because I think that the schools may request a review of this decision and, the possibility of reestablishing a bus route past the school, at least in the morning and in the afternoon. So
Right.
I hope that they'll be more open to reconsideration if such a request comes from the schools. Greg, you have a comment? And then
Yeah,
Paige.
I just wanted to point out that it's not a matter of using city funds that receive some sort of federal funding in order to provide school bus service. But the problem right now is that students are having to cross Kalanianaole Highway to use city bus services. And yes, the route did used to go up into New Valley and pick them up during school hours, convenient hours. It's just like any other route change where they would add an extra bus during rush hour or something, or if they find an area like I'm in Kalama Valley, we only have bus service till a certain time, 7:30 or so, and then it gets cut off just based on usage. So yes, they could alter a route's pattern pickup times without any concern about that federal funding. That's a false issue.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Amy. I just had one question. What is the status of the monies for Cocoa Head Stables? The money that the mayor promised the stables, where is that?
I don't have an update this month on the Cocoa Head Stables. Sorry, I can add that to the request for next month.
Thank you.
And
I
Amy,
think I
for that,
had one
local
last
greater
month.
stables, specifically the demolition of the structures, the condemned structure.
Right. I will add that.
All right, Herb and then Sam.
Yeah, I just want to add to Greg Knutson's comment. What I'm concerned about, yeah, they're crossing the street and stuff, the highway, but the way they sit on the side of the road, we just need one car to just go off and kill a bunch of kids. So I think for safety reasons alone, the going back to the old way would be great. Thank you.
Sam?
I don't know if you have any insight into the mayor's position on Bill 60, like referencing our prior discussion on the increase of sewer fees or the use of general funds. But are you able to get from the mayor's office his position on that bill prior to our next meeting?
Yes, most definitely.
All right, thank you very much, Amy. That was a lengthy report, lots of good information. Thank you. We're going to be moving on to the City Council Chair's office. Adam, are you still here with us?
Hi, Chair. Can you see me? Can you hear me all
Yes.
right?
Thank you. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair and members of the board. Adam Du from Council Chair Tommy Waters' office. I do want to speak on a few things that were just discussed. HBD is fully funded. In fact, we do have, I believe last year, we created a $25,000 recruitment bonus to new officers. There's over 400 vacancies on HBD's for HBD. They have lapsed tens of millions of dollars going back to what we're talking about their vacancies. So I just want to assure everyone that HBD is fully funded, and Chair and the City Council is committed to that. Regards to Hawai'i Kai Drive, particularly near Camilo Iki Elementary School, our office is working closely with the Department of Transportation, DTS, on speed mitigation measures. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be speed humps, but there are other ways to slow down vehicles. We hope to present that to the board in the upcoming months. And realize that speeding is a big issue all across the island, and especially in Hawai'i Kai, whether it's on Hawai'i Kai Drive on the other section where Member Wolf is speaking about, or Lunalilo Home Road. It's terrible, but DTS and PLT is trying to focus first on around schools, and so again, I hope to bring that to the board shortly. With that, I'd like to share my screen. Let's see here. There we go. Are you guys? How about now? Is my screen being shared? Okay.
Yes, it's on.
Great, thank you so much. So we did email out our newsletter to the neighborhood board members. You can also find it on the City Council's website. I do want to point out a resolution that I'm quite passionate about and excited. This third one down, the new city revenue sources sought to address the cost of living. So Chair Waters introduced and passed Resolution 2550, which seeks alternatives to generate revenue to support essential services without increasing taxes and fees for local families. So specifically, Resolution 2550, along with Bill 425, pursues the naming rights for Blaisdell Arena. So we're trying to think outside of the box on other ways we can raise money for the city for our essential services. So kind of inspired by the Stan Sheriff Center, which is now is sponsored by Simplify Arena, Bank of Hawaii. There's a $5 million sponsorship there. So we hope to secure something similar to that for the Blaisdell Arena and other city facilities, like perhaps the Shell Waikiki. Next slide. Here we go. Just going off of what Chair Asobe was speaking about, FEMA has changes to Oahu flood zones. I do encourage you to check out the maps. I checked them out myself. I particularly wanted to point out Kalama Valley. As you see here, there are some homes where they do have a new designation. The homes that do have a new designation, however, they should have been sent a postcard. They do have a 90-day appeal period, which started on March 13th and will go through June 30th. You can get more information about this at resilientoahu.org. Next, I'd like to give a little update about Joe Lukela Beach Park. So back in February, we did submit a riser. HPD District 7 did go out with their all-terrain vehicles. Here you can see the actions that they had met. We have been in communication with the Hawai'i Kai Town Center and HPD. HPD District 7 has committed to go back out next week. So you can see hopefully some enforcement and services provided to these houseless individuals. I did also want to provide alternative for residences if, besides calling HPD and 911, you can contact Honolulu Core. It's a program that's been around for a few years. Core uses refurbished ambulances, and instead of sending police officers to these homeless, they will instead send this Core ambulance will have EMTs and community health workers who specialize in getting shelter and services, or even a hospital for these individuals. Next, our office has been contacted about the Hawai'i Kai Park and Ride and the feral cats that resides there. So we have been working with the Hawaiian Humane Society and DTS on a MOU for a pilot project, which would improve signage, authorized caretakers, and also a camera to monitor this area. We've had tragic updates that cats have been harmed recently. It's certainly terrible. That should not continue. And so we hope that this is one way how we can address this issue. And lastly, please check out our City Council website. Here you can find our legislation, watch our meetings, and submit testimony. With that, I'm happy to take back any questions to Chair Waters, or maybe I can answer them myself.
Thank you, Adam. Are there questions for Council Chair's office? Paige, go ahead.
Adam, thank you so much for your report. Just a quick question. Is Councilman Waters ever planning to show up to one of our meetings again?
Hi, 1 second. I'm so sorry. I lost this. Certainly, Chair Waters would love to attend all boards. Our district is quite big. His district's from Hawai'i Kai to Waikiki. I believe in that span, there's maybe 9 representatives and senators. So I think, let alone he's a chair for the whole city council. But certainly he would love to see you guys face to face. And we'll do our best to, he'll do his best to be at the board meeting, but of course, we always do our best to provide a representative such as myself.
I understand that, and I know that, you know, he's busy, but, you know, he hasn't been here since he got elected. So I don't know, just might be nice to see him. He still does represent this district.
Holly?
Just a quick clarification. What was that website regarding the zones for the flooding? Because the one that's on the slide, resilientoahu.org/get flood ready does not work. So could you give me the proper website, please?
Yeah. If you just Google it as well, it will pop up.
But if you could give it to me, I'd really appreciate it,
Yeah,
since it was
certainly.
on your slide.
I will put it in the chat.
She's not on the chat because we don't have, a few of us
Yeah.
have computers, so.
Certainly, if Jeffrey could share it with the board members, I will get it for you.
Our neighborhood assistant will send that out to all of the board members. Okay, any other questions for Council Chair's office? Herb?
Yeah, I have a comment. Yeah, your little statement that HPD is fully funded minus 400 salaries. Okay. And I'm going to be a little arrogant here. Give the officers a nice pay raise like 64% and bring back some of the benefits they used to have, and you might be able to fill those positions.
All right, any other comments or questions for the City Council Chair's office? Seeing none, thank you very much, Adam, for being here with us this evening.
Thank you, Chair. And for the website, if you just put www.resilientoahu.org/get flood ready, it should work. But I have also dropped it in the chat as well.
All right. Jeffrey will send an email to everybody so that you have it. Okay. Do we have anybody from Governor Josh Green's office? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Senator,
Are we
yes,
able
Sam?
to reach out to somebody at the governor's office to try and get a rep?
You know, actually, I did expect someone to be here tonight because I was informed that there has been someone assigned. And I happen to know who this person is, but they're not here tonight. So I will follow up and find out if they'll be here with us next month. Senator Stanley Chang's office. I think you're muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Hi, aloha.
Aloha. And you are
Right,
from
it's good
Senator
to-
Chang's office?
I am. My name is Zeph.
I'm sorry, can't hear you. You froze up a little bit.
Yeah, you're all frozen on my screen. Apologies for that. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, we can. And
Wonderful.
what is your name, please?
Well, I'm delighted to be here with you. My name is Zephanie, and I am the Senator's legislative aide this session. It's been a busy session.
Stephanie, you froze again, so we're going to turn your camera off on our side to see if that helps.
Okay, wonderful. Can you still hear
Go
me
ahead.
okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Stephanie, are you still there? We can't hear you.
Okay.
Oh, we
you can
can hear
try to
you
come
now.
back to me if you'd like.
All right. Go ahead.
I can switch to my phone if that helps. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, Stephanie, we're going to be moving on. We can't hear you. We'll come back around to you and hopefully your connection will be better. Is there, we've already heard from Senator Chris Lee earlier in the meeting, and we've also heard from Jillian Anderson from Representative Jean Ward's office. Is there anyone from Representative Mark Hasham's office tonight?
Hi, everyone. I'm Mahealani, and I'm actually standing in for Representative Hashim tonight. I'm his committee clerk for this legislative session. And so I'm just here to answer any questions, comments, and concerns, and more importantly, bring those back to Representative Hashim. I know that we have one update on the Kuli'o'o flooding issue, and that is that we have reached out to the Department of Environmental Services at the city and county. Unfortunately, we are still waiting to hear in regards to their response. So hopefully we'll have more news next time, but that is my update for this meeting.
Nice to meet you, Mahia. Any questions for Representative Mark Hasham's office? Nothing on our side, but we are going to be waiting for that update on the Kuli'o'o flooding and any mitigation that might be possible there. Okay? Thank you so much.
For sure. Thank you so much. Have a good
All
evening.
right. Anybody from our congressional offices? All right. Stephanie from Senator Chang's office. Let's try
Hi.
this again.
All
Go
right.
ahead,
Can you,
Stephanie.
can you hear me better now?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Wonderful. I'm calling from my phone. So it's great to be with you all this evening. Again, my name is Zephanie, and I'm the Senator's legislative aide this session, and happy to be standing in. He serves as the housing chair this session, vice chair of energy and intergovernmental affairs. He's also serving as a member of the judiciary and the water and land committees. Senator Chang has been very active in this session and trying to help advance as many of the 1,669 Senate bills that were introduced this session, many of which have come through these committees and have recently been heard by the House of Representatives and will be coming back in a couple of weeks as part of the conference process. And we are delighted to hear from those of you who've been in touch. Please continue to stop by the office and take advantage of the wonderful resources that are available through the public access room, which helps you to get any of your questions answered and to identify areas where you can learn, engage, and contribute in this really important process. Senator Chang is pleased to announce just, I think, about a week or so ago, about 10 days ago, a capital improvement project grant of $150,000 shared by Governor Green for the Mauna Lua Fish Pond Heritage Center to provide construction funds to re-roof the center's facility at the site at the Kanawai Spring. We also just completed Education Week, where Senator Chang was thrilled, as was I, as an alum of the United States Senate Youth Program, to introduce and honor and recognize Ethan Yang, a student at Kaiser High School, who also serves as a student representative for the State Board of Education, someone that Senator Chang acknowledged is a rising star in civic leadership. Speaking of, if you know of young people who are in high school or college and are looking to gain some legislative experience and exposure, we are going to be reviewing applications next week for the Senator's internship program. Applications will be closing on April 1st. Senator Chang joins in the chorus of acknowledgements and bidding much aloha to Representative Ward. He's posted to Instagram and had some comments to wish Representative Ward well. And also, I wanted to just briefly mention that we were pleased to host Uncle Clay and Bronson Chang of the House of Pure Aloha for a moment of contemplation before the Senate recently, as well as the Senator certainly supports small businesses in our region in East Honolulu. If you'd like to learn more and stay connected with Senator Chang, please visit his website, senatorchang.com. There you can access link to his various newsletters. There are two that may be of interest to you all. One is a district newsletter, and it has some wonderful opportunities and resources, activities for seniors, updates for students, homeowners, and other demographics that are shared also through social media such as Instagram. But he's also got a dedicated housing newsletter for those of you who are interested in that. So I'm happy to be a resource to any of you who are here. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. If you'd like to connect with us, the easiest way to do that, again, is to visit senatorchang.com. And maybe about an hour or so ago, I was able to drop a link in the chat for you to read the most recent March newsletter. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Stephanie. Are there any questions for Senator Chang's representative? All right, no questions on our side, Stephanie. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Aloha.
Okay, we're going to be moving on to board business. Oh, yes, Paige.
Just could I make a request that you like send some sort of a notice to all these officials, offices, and ask them to please email us their newsletters and email us their presentations and email us their information, because I don't have chat. So I don't have access to any of that stuff. And they all go, I dropped it in the chat, but I don't have chat. So it's really frustrating when they all do it. So if there's a way we could just send them a little note, say, please email it, and then we'll get their stuff.
All right. I think that most of them do send. I occasionally get it, and I do send it on whenever I get it. Okay. However, those who are online, Mahia and Stephanie and Adam, if you don't have all of the board members' email addresses, you can certainly send the newsletters to me and I will forward them. And I generally check the address list to see which of our board members are not included, and I will send it on to those that are not included. Okay? Under board business, the first item under board business is the Kaiwi Coast Scenic Byway. And we did discuss this earlier this evening about the name change. And Elizabeth, I know that you're going to be monitoring this, and I think that perhaps one solution might be to have the area known by two names. And so there'll be some signs that say Kaiwi Coast State Park and some signs that will say Kaiwi Coast Scenic Shoreline. Elizabeth, you have a comment? You're muted. Please unmute yourself.
Two things about that. One about Hawai'i Scenic Shore. I'm going to get clarity because I don't want to get into it right now, but the bill that some of us had worked on, by no means at all, were told about a name change. And secondly, to say that it must have a name change in order for those elements within the bill to be enforced is something that I'll be looking into and questioning. You know, I've been in conversation with DLNR ongoing about this. So I'll stay on it and I'll report back, and I will reach out to the senator because there's something there that's kind of awkward. That's one. Two, because this is Kaiwi and because of the Sandy Beach thing and because Adam is still on the phone, I'm thinking about this wonderful gentleman that came that was talking about the Sandy Beach area that he wanted to do. And he worked on it for 2 years, and I'm looking for clarification from Councilman Waters' office. And so I want to bring this up now for this Kaiwi section. This resident came and said he had been working on this for 2 years and that the councilman had put appropriated funds. And I'm still not clear on what that means and what happens now, because we have, not that I'm pushing for this issue, but if you have our councilman appropriating funds and this resident has worked on it for 2 years and meanwhile Parks says there's nothing planned, okay, fine. But what's this situation about these funds that have been appropriated? And how does that happen without the larger community being aware? So I guess it's a comment and a question for Adam to take back for next month. If perhaps the councilman has CIP improvements or budget items, perhaps he could come to the share with Chair Mayor, because to hear a resident say that the councilman has appropriated funds for this work, and I've been doing it for 2 years, and perhaps he's incorrect. That's the other part. But I thought it was worth mentioning this because this resident isn't here. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you so
Adam,
much.
yeah,
Oh.
Adam, could you clarify that? Mr. Minos did tell us that $300,000 had been set aside in the council budget to make improvements to Sandy Beach and that he needed to come to get approval from the neighborhood board. Could you tell us how that whole thing originated?
Yeah, thank you, Chair and Member Riley. Yeah, our office has worked closely with Mr. Menes to help him with this matter. He came to our office a couple of years ago, and Tommy's a big supporter of parks. So he put the monies into the city budget. This was 2 years ago. But it's up to the mayor's office and his administration and parks to allocate and release the funds, or more specifically. And DPR chose not to. So the money is good for 2 years. Unfortunately, this fiscal year is about to end though.
All right, Elizabeth, you have a follow-up?
Yes, please. May I ask if you could ask councilman or perhaps staff, please stay connected with the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board on such things, because we would have loved to have met this person 2 years ago. And it really threw all of us. We're talking about the Kaiwi Coast, that this board has been so active in protecting, as your father did too. And it just threw us for a loop. And so again, if the courtesy of when these ideas come up and the councilman puts time and energy and funding against it, to let the respective boards, Kulia'o, Kalani Iki, Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board, be aware of it earlier on so that we could embrace it, support it, have those conversations. Thank you very much.
Chair, may I respond?
Of course, go ahead.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Elizabeth. We certainly do agree. I think he did his outreach at the mayor's town hall meeting, and he brought this issue up to the mayor and the parks director, and so it was discussed at the mayor's town hall meeting. But you are correct. He should have gone to the neighborhood board much sooner. We did request for him to go to the neighborhood board as he did, but you're right. It could have helped to possibly go to the neighborhood board meeting earlier. This might be also a good time to let you know that the mayor does have town halls coming up again. I believe it will be at Kalani High School. And maybe Jeffrey or Director Asobe can give you a date. It is a couple months away though.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Yes, Paige.
Elizabeth, I just want to say thank you for keeping your nose on this Kaiwi shoreline story, because I went to that ceremony that they had at the Lookout where Chris Lee and Rep Ward and Tommy Waters and and Stanley Chang, and we all were there. And my understanding was that this ceremony and the naming and the things that we were doing at that ceremony were saving that coastline, were what we needed to do and what we had been fighting for, and you had been fighting for so many years, to have that coastline be forever in perpetuity saved. And I guess I got confused listening to Senator Lee tonight, because he made it sound like, and I'm I don't know that I'm correct on this, but he made it sound like if the name isn't changed to it being literally being called a state park, that we're not afforded any
It's wrong.
securities. So I'm hoping I'm wrong with that. And I just really wanted to say thank you so much for keeping your nose on this story, because it's a big deal. And if that's the case and the state's going to pull that kind of stuff, then I think we deserve to know and be aware in the future.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I'm going to do some research into that, and I will let you know that there's nothing wrong if what Senator is saying is true, that unless you change the name and it says it this way, all this other stuff doesn't hold up. If that is the case, then fine, then make a change. Don't change it, and forget about all that work that you did, and realize that the details vastly important, because if that becomes a designated state park, how you look at it and your intention on how you care for that place is different than a state scenic shoreline. And that is vitally important to continue to honor the good work that was done back in the 70s and so forth. But we could talk more about it. And thank you.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. The second item under board business is an update on Camilo Nui Valley agriculture. I have no updates. Is there anybody on the board or in the audience who has any updates on what's happening with the farmers? The last we heard was that Kamehameha Schools was talking to the leasehold tenants individually to work out the terms of their lease. Yes, Elizabeth, you have something to add?
So for those who haven't been in Camilo Nui Valley recently, I suggest you go. One of the things the landowner has asked are for the lessees to clear lands that they're not using, so that it's not just overgrown. And so the valley is really quite beautiful right now when you drive in, because the lessees are actually doing that. Fallow land that was doing nothing but growing invasive shrub and trees are being taken down. And it's a good fire mitigation just as well. That's one. And then two, Kamehameha Schools will be in Camilo Nui Valley on this Friday. They have met with a couple of lessees, but they will be in the valley this Friday. And they're going to the different farm lots. And they're also going to be flying a drone. And they've sent an alert out, and they've told everybody about this too. And I think only from there we'll launch the one-on-one conversations and so forth. Thought I'd share that with you.
All right, thank you for that update. The third item under board business is whether or not this board wants to consider a letter of support for increased enforcement against illegal fireworks. I ask the board members to consider any of the legislation moving through the legislature to see if there was anything in particular that you wanted to support. I did not hear back from anybody. So if there is not a particular bill that we would like to provide testimony in support of, then we'll just table this or not bring it up again. Yes, Paige.
Just really quickly, I think this sort of petered out at the last meeting because we were all very unsure about what the parameters were for each of the bills and how far the bills were going to go. And I think that that's still the issue. We don't know what's going to be passed, what's going to go into second reading, or what's, and what exactly this bill is going to be. And they were all so much being rewritten too. As soon as another office got a hold of something, it was being rewritten. So I would suggest that we wait and see what happens as far as what the final bill is going to look like, because they still all have to be signed. So that's my suggestion. From the research that I've done on the bills that are out there, not one of them changes HPD's enforcement parameters for people who are blowing up fireworks. They all deal with, well, if they get a ticket, this is this. And if they get arrested, then this is this. And this should be in consideration, but it doesn't change it doesn't change like how HPD can go out and arrest people, which is what I think people are really looking for, is can they come out and arrest them? That I didn't see as being an issue. So.
And reminding all board members, I did reach out to the chief of police again. They did respond, indicating that there was no particular bill that they supported and that they do not urge people to support any particular legislation. They try to remain apart from that whole process. So we did do the outreach. Now I can leave this on the agenda for another month if you'd like me to, and then we can see whether or not our sentiments have changed and whether there has been a bill that has progressed to a point where we might consider supporting it. Is that all right? Okay. Then I'm going to be moving on to just a reminder again, Elizabeth had mentioned earlier, the Committee on Planning, Zoning, and Environment will be conducting a committee meeting on April the 30th. And more detail will be coming when the agenda comes out. The next item is the approval of regular meeting minutes for February 25. Are there any comments or revisions to the minutes that were distributed for your review, board members? Seeing none, the minutes for February 25 have been approved. Any other board announcements? Then I'll go into the closing announcements. The next regular meeting of the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board is Tuesday, April 29 at 7 p.m. at the Hahaiʻione Elementary School cafeteria and on WebEx. Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board regular meetings are cablecast on Olelo Channel 49 on the second Monday of the following month at 9 p.m. and repeating on that month's third Friday at 7 a.m. The videos are also available on the video archives at olelo.org and also at the honolulu.gov/NCO boards, if anybody cares to see the meeting again. A third announcement, the City and County of Honolulu and the Hawaii Food Bank are partnering up to fight against hunger. Neighborhood Assistant Jeffrey Jones here will be collecting any donated canned goods at the next neighborhood board meeting on Tuesday, April 29. So if you would like to participate, you can bring your canned goods and Jeffrey will turn them in for us. I want to thank everybody for staying with us this evening, and we'll see you in 1 month's time. Meeting is adjourned.